Hey there, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Welcome to TCM, where tonight we're continuing our month-long conversation about movies that made a genuine impact on the culture. And joining me, as he did last week, is screenwriter and producer Larry Karaszewski. Larry, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to watch these movies tonight.
Yeah, I enjoyed our conversation last week, so I'm looking forward to tonight as well. Larry and his writing partner, Scott Alexander, have an impressive resume. Most recently, Dolomite Is My Name, the Eddie Murphy film. Such a great performance from him there. Two movies directed by Milos Forman, Man on the Moon and People vs. Larry Flint. I bring Forman up because he directed, one of my 5 favorite movies of all time. I suspect you enjoyed it as well, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What was Forman like? What made him stand out as a director, Larry?
He was just a great director and a great person. I recently just did it was a huge tribute to him in New York, and we watched almost all of his films back to back to back. He was looking for what he would call unrepeatable moments, bits of real life that he could put into a film, things that made things feel real. And it's interesting, you brought up One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is a perfect segue to the movie we're watching tonight, The Snake Pit. Both of them take place in mental institutions. That film seems so alive and so honest, and it taught us so much about film and art and life. We were very lucky people to have him direct 2 of our films.
Larry just mentioned the movie we have next from 1948, directed by Anatole Litvak, Olivia de Havilland starring in The Snake Pit, a 20th Century Fox film from 1948, another film that took on, head-on, a serious issue in the culture, mental illness and the conditions in mental institutions. And Zanuck produced one of the films that we had last week, taking on anti-Semitism in Gentleman's Agreement. Again, to make the point we made last week, Zanuck, these issue-oriented movies weren't clearly important to Zanuck.
Yeah, no, he was a very brave producer. In fact, he won the honorary Oscar for producing 3 times because he was such a strong producer and making movies that no one else dared to make, that the Academy kept on giving him this award, and he deserved it every time he got it. The Snake Pit actually was informing a public of what was happening right here, right now. People didn't know about electroshock therapy and all these issues that were happening in there. It was actually a movie that was setting out to change society. And it actually did change society. I think 13 states wound up changing their laws about mental institutions because of this film. It was funny. I looked up this movie in preparation for these nights, and looking back at old newspapers, the first couple of weeks, I'd be reading articles that were on the entertainment pages. Slowly, the articles tend to move over to the editorial pages and letters to the editor. And, so clearly people were seeing this film and feeling like something had to be done. And so that is indeed what happened when The Snake Pit was released.
Seldom is a movie more reliant on the performance of its star than this one. If Olivia de Havilland does not deliver here in The Snake Pit, then we are certainly not talking about this movie, 75 years later.
Yeah, it's one of the extraordinary performances of all time. The movie is just completely on her from the very get-go. The way that movie opens with just her, and you hear her voiceover, and she doesn't know what's going on, and she thinks, is she in a prison? Almost right away, you feel like you're in a film noir. Yes, it's not a mystery of a crime, but it's a mystery inside her head. She can't figure out what's going on with her. And apparently she said that one of the big things that helped her in this role is when she went on those trips to meet with mental patients, she was expecting the stereotypical, shifty eyes and people acting, losing it. And she said she didn't find that. She found just real people, real just human beings who were just like, they had wild highs and wild lows, and they would go off the rails at times, but they were nice, good people. And she was determined to show that in her character, that she wasn't a fool. This is not Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This is about a real person. And that goes with all the other characters in that mental institution. That it isn't like, oh, I'm trapped in this place with all these crazy people. They're all human beings. So my favorite other character is Betsy Blair, that a lot of people remember from Marty. Olivia de Havilland's character in this movie is not just concerned about herself. She's concerned about all these women. And henceforth, the audience is concerned about all these women. And I think that's what makes it very special.
All right, Larry, great stuff. Let's take a look at it now. We'll talk more after the film. Here it is. From 1948, directed by Anatole Litvak, Olivia de Havilland in The Snake Pit. Welcome back. Ben Mankiewicz, joined once again by screenwriter and producer Larry Karaszewski. Larry, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. What a movie.
What a movie. We just saw Olivia de Havilland's sterling Oscar-nominated performance as a mental patient in The Snake Pit, directed by Anatole Litvak from Fox in 1948. Anything in particular, some of those smaller roles that stand out to you, Larry?
Yeah, I mean, Betsy Blair's extraordinary. And there's also that, I'm sorry, I'm going to blank on the actress's name, but there's that moment where a woman gets up and sings a song called Going Home. And you look at all the women in this place, and they clearly all want to be going home. And that's just an extraordinary moment as well.
Yeah, that's a moving moment. That's an actress named Jan Clayton who did that. The actresses hired to play some of those patients really so strong, even if it's just one little scene. And Celeste Holm, first of all, it's just not enough of her. You know, she didn't know how to deliver a performance that didn't feel authentic.
I mean, that's a key thing in this movie. Everything feels authentic. And for me, my favorite thing in this movie is the actual depiction of the snake pit, when she actually describes what the snake pit is, and you see that shot. That's basically a visualization of what she's talking about. That's so striking. Even after all these years, your mouth drops open at what you're seeing.
Yeah, I was curious about that shot. There's, I think, one edit in the middle of the shot, and I thought, you know, that shot today, would it be a real shot? Would it be CGI? I'm sure you could make it look great.
It would be CGI. And I still don't even know how they did it in this version, but it would probably be completely CGI. You know, not for the better either.
Yeah, Frank Partos and Millen Brand wrote this screenplay based on Mary Jane Ward's novel. It's you know, as a screenplay, it holds together well.
Yeah, it does, and it's based on this novel that is actually based on Mary Jane Ward's actual experiences. She was actually diagnosed as a schizophrenic and placed in a mental institution. The book was such a sensation that it's what got this movie made, that people were reading about this book. Often in these message pictures, you almost need that book to be gigantic. Like Gentleman's Agreement was a gigantic book, and it gives Hollywood the courage to take on these issues because it's already kind of, you know, in the air of you know, people are talking about this issue.
So many of our viewers know this already, but this film is a really powerful reminder of the enormous impact that movies had in the era before television. I mean, there could have been an expose in the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune and the LA Times, the Washington Post and Boston Globe, and important papers all over the country. And it seems unlikely that it would have had the same impact as a single movie from 20th Century Fox about mental institutions and mental illness to get people to change their way of thinking.
It seems like it's one of the rare movies that actually changed things for the better. It changed, I think, the laws in like 13 states. And so when your movie has that kind of impact, it's really tells you about the power of the motion picture.
Larry, great stuff. Thanks very much.
Thank you. It was great watching that movie.
Stick around. Larry and I have one more film to discuss tonight from 1955, written and directed by Richard Brooks, Glenn Ford, and Sidney Poitier in Blackboard Jungle. It's next on TCM.